Zaim has shared a lot of wisdom with us in part one of the conversation, and we will continue part two of this conversation today. We jump straight in to the subject and we talk about the competition in Tanzania. And after that, we talk about how to build a culture, and we end with how the market works in Africa. Enjoy. I'm looking at the competition in Africa and especially in Tanzania because it's one of the first, or I should say Tanzania, right?
Yeah,
That's the right way to pronounce it.
yeah,
So in Tanzania, it's one of the first countries, or maybe even the first country that went mobile first with banking, with the fintech. So there's a long history of this country in this industry. So there are also big players that are there for quite a while. So how do you compete with those? Is it not very difficult to enter this market because of that?
perfect. I think, when, as I said, Simba Money, the vision is unification, right? Unification of all product services, features embedded, all right? And so telecos or the prominent brands, all right? So they have their own market share, all right? But Tanzania itself is a very high when it comes to demographics, population, everything. All right. So there are lots of pockets that are still
Mm.
available. All right. Like, for example, for the last 15 years, and that's my advice to all founders out there, like for the last 15 years, nothing has been done on the USSD side, the feature
Mm.
phone user. All right.
Yeah.
So the entire digital innovation and everything was focused on the digital user, the app user, the iPhones, the
Yeah.
Samsungs, and everything. But you'll be amazed when you sit in a room with data, you're going to see that the highest person who brings revenue for a fintech is a feature phone user. All right,
Really?
because he's a merchant selling fruits. All
Yeah.
right, all right, he is connected to the community. All right, he has a grocery store. All right, and he's using his phone, all right, as a bank. All right,
Mm.
he receives money, he checks, yes, money is received, he gives the product to the customer and everything. All right,
Yeah.
so all right, Africa, as I said, Tanzania, the one of the biggest potential, all right, is all about identifying those pockets, all right. And for any founder of a fintech, all right, needs to understand that digital financial services, all right, operate in an ecosystem, right? Every ecosystem has patterns, all right. Every pattern is dictated by a habit forming product, all right. If you have this market understanding, you're close to the customer, you get that customer centricity approached, all right, you can easily identify which segments the competition or the giants of the market are not focusing on. Because if you start focusing on those pockets, because one of the biggest attribute for any fintech founder is trust, right?
Hmm.
Trust is
Definitely.
the ultimate attribute to achieve, because this is where people will bring money into your wallet itself. If you
Exactly.
start small to that identify a pocket, you generate the right amount of trust, your product, your brand becomes a voice of customer, right? Right, it cascades through across the demographics. You can start from ruler, all right, and then the ruler can dictate a transformation shift from the giant to your brand because they
Mm.
trust your brand more. These are the synergies that are available in the market, all right. You just need to have the right people, the right technology, the right process to go and hunt and identify these attributes and bring into the table customer centricity, and there you go, you have a business.
Yeah, interesting. So you're saying actually you're leveraging the network effect because big providers, they are actually focusing on the low hanging fruit, which are the smartphone users. let's say, because it's very easy to create an app for a smartphone user. So they're leaving the feature phone users on the table. And you have eye for these feature phone users. And by gaining their trust, you create movement also outside this feature phone users user base to use your product. Because I think also there's an interesting dynamic, because fintech is really a product that has network effect. I
Yes.
mean, if I'm using this bank, then big chance that my friends will use this
Yes.
bank. Or if I'm using this solution to send money, and on the receiver end they need to also install this application, then automatically the receiving side will also install this application. So this
Exactly.
way it spreads like in a circle around your user base that you have gained already gained trust with. And I think this is a very interesting strategy, is by finding the user base that is not served, is underserved, and then providing very narrow clear solution that really touch the heart of this person and gain his trust, and then automatically the word of mouth will spread, and the network effect will be created around that. So I'm very curious, what is your model? Is it more business to business or business to consumer?
So right now, for the last 2 3 years, we have actually gone live with B2B, business to business. So we are providing lot technology services to the banks, mostly banks, all right, and small fintechs, all right. And normally we have gateways, all right. We have technology hubs which banks are using to provide various product and services to their consumers, right? One of the biggest example is that Simba Money remittance hub that has more than 50 corridors, all right, to send and receive money. I think, and we are about to launch. So we will be the second in the market as a fintech. As a fintech, never first, but as a generic, all right, we'll be second in the market to launch merchant international merchant payments. So the bank customers through their smartphones, all right, can actually pay a merchant in China, all right, for example, or a merchant in a UAE, all right, when the goods are coming in, all right. So right now, our B2B has been stabilized, all right, and now we're working with our banking partner to get the final approval for the B2C side, all right. We have completed our alpha test, beta test, and now we are waiting for the final go ahead, all right, and then we're going to launch our super app within Tanzania itself.
Oh, beautiful. And if we're talking about expansion, because uh, sending money to other countries, that is possible. Are you looking into expanding into other countries? Do you have a roadmap for expanding?
Yeah, for sure, because we are focusing ourselves on the East African belt, all right,
Hmm.
because there are lots of potential, and to the founders who are out there, Madagascar, Zambia, Angola is huge, showing
Definitely.
potential, all right, and the West Africa part as well. So our idea is to actually, in the next 3 years, we'll be in 5 operations in Africa itself.
Oh, interesting. And do you think that you will in the future go outside Africa, like Asia or Europe?
Yeah, because we are open, because the technology that we are bringing to the table is like a laptop, all right.
Mhm.
It's not a desktop version of a technology. So it's a laptop. You can actually go to any country. You can actually plug and play with a regulation license, and you can start onboarding your live customers. All right. So we are very much open to collaborations. If someone in any location wants to launch a fintech brand, right, we can actually not only give technology, but we have subject matter experts on the ground side, on the go-to-market side. All right. We can actually nurture the initial 1 year, all right, before the final market activation takes off, all right. So technology is there, subject matter experts are available, all right, open for a collaboration.
I really like the analogy. I mean, it's not desktop; it's a laptop. You can take it anywhere. I like that metaphor. Yeah, beautiful. Now I'm curious. So let's say to go back to your journey. You had the idea, you wanted to start. How did you build that team? And I want to ask you also, how did that change? I mean, in the beginning, you built a team, and then now you are also probably hiring people. Did that process change in the meanwhile, or did it stay the same in general?
I think hiring was not a difficult for me because in the end of the day, I've been very well connected part of this industry. And when it comes to fintech, I bring trust. So that's my brand. I offer speed. I offer innovation. I think no, so it was never that much difficult, all right, for me to get the right people in, all right, in terms of what, because again, as said, all right, decisions can be taken easy, all right. It's very
Mhm.
easy for me to, like today I woke up and I said, I would unify everything under Simba Money, all right, for example. But implementation is always the difficult part, all right. And the one of the implementation is communication. Like talking to your colleagues, all right, that you have worked, all right, in different capacity, or they are working in a different brand, all right. It's talking to them, making them understand what you want to achieve, all right. So like it's not a startup, it's a vision, all right. It's not just an app, it's an infrastructure rail, will take this ecosystem from here to here, all right.
Mhm.
Let's design, let's contribute, all right. When you start making sure that the people that you want to work with are also contributors, people start actually taking that leap of faith with you,
Mhm.
right. Of course you have the stakeholder engagement, all right. You get the money in, you have a business that, I think, if you have internet, you have mentors who can actually help you on creating a business proposal, getting the invest, you have lots of funds provider. But it's
Yeah,
all about getting the team. It's like how well you convey the vision to them, all right,
yeah, exactly.
so that they take the leap of faith with you. Again, you have to have your golden rules, like customer centricity is one of the key. We achieve trust, right. We have speed to go to market.
Mhm.
So, and these are the attributes that builds the culture of the company itself, all right. So everyone starts following that culture, right. You start projecting, as a
Mhm.
leader, you need to walk the talk. If you want customer centricity to be your core, you need to go to the street as well. You cannot sit in your fancy offices having a Zoom meeting and saying that, guys, be customer centric. No, you have to go to the street. You have to walk the talk. All right. So any new joinee that comes, your people and culture manager can proudly say that, our CEO is also in the street. So that is how our customers are important, all right. So you start building those habits early on, all right, so that they're embedded in the foundation that the culture sits on. That's what it is.
Yeah, beautiful. It sounds like you have your culture well defined. Is that something you also advise startups and startup founders to do? Because I hear you have your pillars very well defined. You have them already when you are saying what you think is important in your culture. So, do you have a document for that somewhere? How do you communicate these values?
I think, I've been fortunate enough being part of really great institutes throughout my career, all right, especially the employer side of it. I was blessed with great mentors throughout my life. And that success goes to them, actually. I've been part of really great corporates, all right, that really polishes you out, all right. And one of the things that I observed that they really were sensitive about and they were really investing on it, or it is the culture. Like for example, you have seen that when this telecom wave hit the world, so it was like French t-shirt culture came,
Yeah.
jeans came in. Projection was that young and cool.
Yeah.
So young people, we gonna actually, passion to deliver, right. So that was the statement that teleco gave to the world, and that became the culture, that everything has to be solution driven, all right. Startups, all right, normally when they are about to be formed, and the first 1 year is always chaos, all right, it's
Yeah,
called chaos
definitely.
management, all right. A good leader within startup has to be effective chaos manager, all right, because you are doing firefighting today, you're actually launching something, you're debugging something today, so it's like chaos, all right. And this is very healthy. I always say that chaos is like really healthy, because it actually gives you the opportunity to identify what are the dynamics of your team,
Mhm.
right? Why they are actually, working beyond the call of duty,
Mhm.
why they are actually working beyond 9 to 5. And that is, these are the attributes that is your definition of the culture itself. Document them, talk to them about it, guys. Like for example, one of the sales KPI or the golden rule, we are always closing, that we need to close. So that is a very good golden rule, that no matter who, whatever you do, you need to close your sale. When it comes to experience is a combination of effort and trust, for example. So when you start communicating, and when you, as a leader, when you're seeing people under this chaos, you are able to identify those ingredients that define your culture. Then you communicate, you document, all right, just like an employer handbook. But now I think, it's a digital age, all right. It has to be embedded in your product, because culture cannot rest in a book, all
Yeah.
right. The culture needs to be out there. It has to be in your product, it has to be in your brand, it has to be the moment you enter your office, it has to be everywhere, all right. So that's what culture is. You cannot capture culture in a book, all right. So I think, as a leader, you need to be very much adaptive, all right. You need to actually define and identify those right ingredients, all right, that defines your culture.
Yeah, definitely. Beautiful. I think that's an interesting viewpoint about culture. So, what you are saying is the chaos that happens sometimes is actually a very important data set. And if you are listening well enough through that data set, it can provide you a lot of ingredients for creating a very healthy culture, let's say. And you need to listen very well, you need to observe very well as a leader, and take those ingredients that are useful in your culture and amplify them as
Yeah.
much as possible. Document them, but live them. That is the most important thing. Yeah, beautiful. Zaim, I'm very curious. This also touched the culture thing, and as I have been listening to you, I can see that you are making quite some impact in the world and that you are customer centric. What I think is very interesting to understand is how do you balance this impactfulness or purposefulness with the profitability? Because sometimes I can imagine that these come in some kind of clash
Hmm. Hmm.
because your profit or bottom line of your P&L,
Hmm.
um, you can maximize that
Yeah.
and lose some of the customer centricity. So, how do you balance that correctly, and how do you make sure that you don't lose this very important value?
Perfect. So I think I'll tell you one thing. When you are customer centric, all right, and all your strategies, when I spoke about in the beginning, market activation,
Mhm.
normally your profitability is affected by the amount of investment that you have done initially, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
this is normally the definition of profitability. Your product goes live, and then you start monitoring it until it starts making money to you, all right. But what I'm trying to tell the founders today is that you fix your investment, you increase the efficacy of your technology and process in the beginning. Do not
mhm,
do fish netting,
yeah,
do tactical marketing, be customer centric. Why customer centric? Because if you are customer centric, you're going to create habit forming products.
Mhm.
Habit forming products are trust generated. They generate trust. All right. Trust generate voice. All right. Voice generates recommendation. All right. So you can find customers coming in from those channels which you have not even invested a single dime on marketing,
Yeah.
because the trust is forcing them to convert and become your customers, right? So if you implement the customer centricity approach in all aspect, technology, process, people, all right, you will have the right impact. You don't need to balance between customer centricity and impact, because profitability is actually an end goal of any business. All right. What is a business? Business is a transaction between product and services. All right.
Mhm.
And both party get something. Is a win-win situation.
Exactly.
This is what business is, right? All right. So in the end of the day, if you fix those things as an input, all right, your output is profitability. Your products are habit forming. Habit creates trust. Trust creates voice. Voice creates recommendation. And this is what we learned in our university. Remember the theory of marketing, right?
Yes.
So customer centricity is a practical way to actually implement those things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
normally what founders they do is that they tend to spend a lot, all right, on let's do social media campaign, cold calling, cold emails, do a market. Before even doing that, all right, understand your customer demographics. Like for example, Tanzania, half of the like urban, all right, it's a cultural mix. But when you go in the regions, you're gonna see religion or tribe driven regions. All right. You cannot market something that upsets one faith. All right. So these are the things. So imagine you're doing that, like everywhere, right? And you create an ad, all right? In urban it is successful, but in rural maybe it actually hurted some sentiments, and the trust is gone now. If the urban guy says that, hey, I want you to actually download this app, or use this product, they say no, 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 they're really bad because they
Yeah.
did this, they did. So customer centricity before even investing a single dime is super important. And end goal is profitability. You don't need to balance between customer centricity or impact. All right. Customer centricity is the methodology to achieve profitability.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. I like this approach because you're saying there is no clash between those two things.
Yeah.
If you keep to your promise and if you really provide value, that is the best kind of marketing. And in the end, that will amplify your profitability anyway. So instead of seeing them as two contradictory values, activities, they are actually quite aligned if you pull it well, pull it out well. So don't be afraid to really be impactful, but try to align your impact with your customer, with the audience. And if you do that well, you gain trust, and that will automatically amplify your profitability. So,
Perfect. I think to
perfect.
the founders, you should say that one hand on the marker to write something on the whiteboard, and one hand to hug the customer. So chemistry, right?
I love that. I love that. I think it's a very nice one to close with. I really want to thank you, Zaim, for all your insights that you have given us today. But before we close, I want to ask you how people can follow you on your journey. Do they follow you on LinkedIn? Do they follow you on a website? Where should they follow your journey?
I think LinkedIn is one of the best. I'm very much active on LinkedIn. All right. I do write lots of articles. All right. I do consult to lots of brands. All right. And I'm available. Please approach me. All right. And I love to talk. All right. I love to share my experience. and I would actually, I'm a problem solver. All right, I like to actually, learn new stuff, and I welcome people to come and talk to me. You know. Mm.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks a lot for your time, and hopefully we'll talk very soon.
Likewise, Mohammed, thank you so much. I had fun. It was really good. It's a wonderful opportunity, and I think the mission that you have actually taken, it's great because I believe as an entrepreneur myself, I think bringing in subject matter expert through your platform is giving people the right knowledge to the new founders or the existing founders. All right, and as you talked about impact a lot, you are bringing a huge impact to those companies as well. You guys are doing an awesome job. Thank you so much. All right, thank you.
Thanks for these nice words.
Thank you.
See you soon.